is a strange thing. Sometimes, even just for the briefest of moments, you forget that it's happened. Your focus becomes work or the things on your to-do list or what you've got planned at the weekend. And for those moments, life just feels normal. There comes a point when it doesn't consume you anymore, which is something that at one point just seemed like a pipe dream. But that doesn't mean that it's gone forever. Far from it. Grief has this nasty habit of washing over you in the strangest of situations and exposing raw emotions which you so wish you could suppress. These last few months have really caught me off guard. A walk to the shops has turned into something else. Seeing people protect themselves and others from COVID-19 by wearing masks. Masks and PPE are something that's ingrained in my memory from the last moments I ever spent with my dad and the moment where we had to make the decision to turn off his life support.
It's a massive day today. It's my first day in a new job and I just want it to go well. You know what I mean? I feel like I have been waiting for this for ages and now it's finally happening. It's funny. I remember saying to Dave, Dave used to do this job before, and I said to him, I'm going for your job. I got a fright when he laughed and said that I could do it. And he said he was leaving in a few weeks. But I wasn't ready. I bottled it. But I wanted to make sure that I was ready if the job ever came back up again. So, I made it my goal. I did my rounds, I learned the ins and outs, and here I am. A programme leader in the drug and alcohol service. But am I ready? Can I do this? Yeah. I have been waiting for this. I have come such a long way. 7 years ago, I'd given up. I was an addict who was trapped in a cycle of good intentions, relapse and prison. And I was just looking for a way out. I sat with a noose in my hands and I tried to figure out what I could put in a suicide note to my mum. But there was this voice in my head that told me that I was too good for this. I'm glad I listened to that voice. I'm glad I listened and I tried because of how I'm doing now. I've got things in my life that I never thought that I could ever deserve.
But that's not how I like to remember my dad. He was a loving, kind, funny man who loved cats and E-type Jaguars. I'd be lying if I said that sometimes it wasn't hard to see past the cheap tins of lager or the bottles of vodka in his car. And the arguments with a irrational, confrontational, angry man he became when he was drunk, which was basically always. Growing up, I felt conflicted about his drinking. I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about it. There was a lot of stigma attached to alcoholism, and We just wanted to give the impression that we were a nice, normal family, even if the truth was far from that.
You see, I weren't born into this world. I was through into it. My mum was an alcoholic and my dad was an abusive drug addict. Oh, he never hit me or my brothers and sisters. But my mum, she ended up taking us to a women's refuge. Now, I'd always been scared of my dad, so without him around, I suppose I got a little bit boisterous. And like I said, my mum was a drinker. I was 9 years old when social services took me off my mum. They put me in a house full of teenagers. They thought the older kids would be a good influence on me. Nah. I was young. I wanted to impress. So, whatever they wanted me to do, I'd just do it. Even if it meant me committing a crime. You know, if I got caught because of my age, I just got a slap on the wrist. I started inhaling solvents. You know, I didn't think it was a big deal at the time, but I just knew that it gave me this false sense of courage. It gave me confidence. So I carried on doing it. You know, this was like for a few years, and I started trying different drugs. But as the drug use escalated, so did the crimes that I was committing. When I was 15, nearly 16, I assaulted a member of staff at the Children's Assessment Centre. The authorities sent me to prison. They thought it'd be a good wake-up call for me. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I went to prison, I was scared. But the second I got through those doors, I saw people that I knew. Prison became the place that I felt most comfortable. And I suppose that's where the cycle started. You know, I'd get out of prison and I'd commit a crime just to get right back in there. I felt safe. I felt secure. You know, inside I was someone. But outside, I was a nobody.
It's something that I lived with from when I was 7 years old. From 2000 to 2017, my dad drank a lot. Slowly, this intelligent man with a great job at the MOD and a wonderful father who took us on bike rides and caravan holidays and singing along to Queen just seemed to fade away. And these fond memories were overshadowed by alcohol-induced fits, seizures, accidents, multiple trips to the hospital, hallucinations and DTs. Eventually, he was diagnosed with alcohol-induced dementia. He was deemed not to have capacity, so he was forced to live in a special care home. He made a slight improvement and was eventually allowed to live on his own again. I got my hopes up so many times that he would give up drinking. And I think we thought that if we just got on with it, that things would just improve or something would make him stop. But it never did. One more accident caused a significant head injury and another trip to hospital. Only this time, he didn't come out.
You know, it took me 23 years to finally convince my family that I was an addict and that things were never going to be any different. And funnily enough, as soon as they accepted that, I made the decision to change. But it was hard. You know, I'd leave prison with the best of intentions of getting clean. The first step of NA is to admit that we're powerless and that our lives have become unmanageable. But I was in denial. And I had this little routine. It was like Groundhog Day. Get up at 8:30, have a wash. 8:45, be stood outside the pharmacy waiting for it to open. 9 o'clock, I'd get my prescription for methadone. I'd use half of it, top it up with water, and then sell that on. Then I'd go to the shops, I would steal what I could, I'd sell that on, and then I'd go and buy heroin. And I would do that every single day. That was when I reached me rock bottom, and I thought that the only way out was for me to end my life. A mate told me about this Christian meeting group, but I wasn't really that keen on going, to be honest. But I agreed. I mean, I wasn't going to learn about spirituality. I was going for the free meal. But when I got there was this woman stood at the front and she was talking. But the things that she was talking about, they were things that I thought that only I knew. Things that I'd never told anyone about. I got scared and I ran. But that was a turning point for me. I went back and I started going regularly. I finally started to believe that there was something out there that was bigger than me. You know, up to that point, I'd always thought that I was God.
As a family, we made the decision to withdraw Dad's life support. So the masks and PPE that surround us on the way to the shops make those memories flood back, and we relive them as though they were right again before our very eyes. It was the worst day of my life, and since Dad's death it's been incredibly difficult. I'm left with a lot of guilt and sadness that I wasn't able to do more, and that his addiction cost him his life. I'm sad that our relationship was affected because of his alcoholism, and that I had a lot of mixed feelings towards him, which made spending time with him difficult.
I went to the doctors. I wanted to try and detox. I'd started to finally believe that I could do it. I started researching rehab facilities and I went to visit this place called Yeldall Manor. Now, I remember when I was walking around, I was thinking, you know, this place is not for me. There is no way that they would let someone like me in a place like this. But I got accepted. You know, I was living in a lodge on the premises, and I was having to cook for myself, clean for myself, shop for myself. I'd never been independent before. This was a complete shock to my system. I went back to my crutch again. I started drinking. And I wasn't being honest with anyone, especially myself, about my own ability to cope with my addiction. It wasn't long until I started using heroin again. Stupidly, I took it back to the premises and, you know, put everyone in their recovery at risk. Yeldall has a zero tolerance policy to drug use. I got kicked out. Another relapse. Another fuck up. Luckily they asked me to come back, but only if I could tell them what would be different this time. I told them, you know, look, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with myself. I'd always believed my own lies. I'd always been scared of the truth. But I started to let it out. You know, it helped to say it out loud. I'd always been too proud to talk about my addiction, to ask for help, to admit when I'd messed up. But I started to realise that every relapse was a mistake. But each time, I'd learned from it.
Grief is a strange thing. Sometimes even just for the briefest of moments you forget that it's actually happened. But not everything is fine. Recovery is a roller coaster, fluctuating between grief and relief. It's a complicated thing to lose your dad in that way, and I thought I was on my own. But I've discovered a world of people who have had similar experiences, and discovered that volunteering has helped me with my recovery as well as helped me to support others. It can be lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. Just take it day by day. I am sad that Dad won't be around for the rest of my life and maybe see me get married or have kids of my own. But I do like to think that he's looking over me and smiling. I just hope that he knew I loved him, and I was only ever angry and disappointed in his alcoholism, but not in him.
I did everything that was asked of me. I even started volunteering as a peer mentor in the drug and alcohol service. I was on the up. I did my health and social care level 3 and I passed. With a distinction. Me. A distinction. You know, I'm not what they call academically intelligent. I'm emotionally intelligent, but I am definitely not academically intelligent. But to get to do this for a job, to help people, to support people who are going through what I have, what I do go through, well, that's the goal. And you know, I would do this job for nothing because it helps me to help people and to support the residents. I do a lot of reflecting, and it definitely hasn't been easy. There are days that are long. There are days that are really hard. And it hits me right in the heart when I hear about mates or residents who have relapsed or even died. You know, that never gets any easier. But you've got to pick up the phone. Talk to someone. Be open. Be honest. Don't let your pride get in the way, because it is your pride that will kill you. You've got to get it out. Let people know what it is that's going on inside your head. Recovery is possible. But you've got to be true to yourself. Look at me. I've got a fiance. You know, the first person that I've ever put ahead of me in my life. I would have been married on the 16th of May if it hadn't been for coronavirus. I'm surrounded by good people. People, true friends who want to see me succeed. They want to see me do well. I've got a life plan. I've got a reason to get up in the morning. I've got people who rely on me. And you know what? If there is ever a day that I get up and I don't want to go to work, well, that's just a sign that I need to try a different job.